What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. This is a bizarre battle. Ethan Klein of H3H3 versus K-pop stans. This is the weirdest thing, and it would be generally uninteresting because it's just Twitter spam from what I can tell. But this whole position that K-pop fans have is really dumb. I don't care if people like or don't like K-pop. I have less than 0% interest in it, but that doesn't matter. Like, life goes on. There's lots of music I don't like, but there seems to be this really bizarre position where if you dare say that you don't like K-pop, they call you all sorts of terrible things, and they look dumb doing it. I don't understand. It's like, you can't dislike K-pop, otherwise you're racist. I'm not kidding you. If you look at a lot of these replies, well, first let me get the article up that kind of summarizes this on Deserto. Why was H3H3's over party trending on Twitter? H3H3, or the husband and wife duo as Ethan and Hila Klein, come under fire after Ethan critiqued Korean or K-pop stars, much to their fans' dismay. H3H3 has never shied away from controversy or addressing their thoughts, but by and large, they remain popular and beloved content creators on YouTube. I'd say that isn't necessarily as true today as it was 3 years ago when they were actually making content. But, you know, things change, times change. They're obviously doing just fine for themselves. They're doing great. They're probably making more money from their podcast highlights channel than they ever made from their sketch comedy and reactions. So I suppose there's that. And given the way that fair use is these days, who knows? But but not everyone loves them, and they definitely made a few enemies on December 9th when they dared to critique one of K-pop's biggest exports, BTS. Watching one of BTS's videos, Ethan and Hila discussed the genre, and Ethan was very clear in saying they just doesn't understand the appeal. I, too, thought people liked it ironically. Really. Like, I watched the video, and I'm like, what is this? I'm assuming people like it ironically, because it's like watching a car wreck or something. But people are genuinely into it, and hey, just like any other fandom, to be honest, look, K-pop is just another fandom, like Star Wars or Ghostbusters or video games or whatever. And just because you're not into it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not your thing. His quote in the video goes, "I don't get the BTS thing," he said. "I'm going to say it right now. I don't like K-pop. I hate K-pop. I don't get BTS. How did this become a thing in Western culture where all these grown men and little girls are pleasuring themselves to K-pop boys? It's like a fetish." Well, it is very spirited. The fandoms are very, 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 very emotional. He then asked Ian, the intern, for his thoughts, who said he doesn't like it but gets why people do, with Ethan reiterating his point, saying how weird K-pop fans are on Twitter, before joking that someone's probably going to end him for what he said. Well, they did exactly that. As such, K-pop fans responded in kind on Twitter, getting the hashtag H3H3's over party trending in a bid to get him, quote, canceled. Ethan didn't seem too much bothered by the backlash, celebrating the trend on Twitter and continuing to make digs at the community as the abuse rained down on him. He even tweeted out to reiterate his point, saying, "My message to K-pop fans, lighten up, nerds. If you can't handle your hobby being made fun of a little bit, then you really are just a bunch of little girls pleasuring yourself to K-pop boys." Now, I will tell you this. I've had my problems with things that Ethan has said and done in the past, but I have, I could say the same thing about a good friend of mine or somebody I don't know. Just because they do something stupid or say something stupid, like I've said my bit, and it's not like I carry a rage for Ethan Klein. I don't even know him. In fact, I really only was interested because I used to be a big fan of his content. I just don't like the podcast I don't like podcasts in general. That doesn't mean, a lot of people come to me and they lead with, "I used to be a fan of you," but then I know that's kind of played out. But, obviously, who didn't love their sketches? Vape Nash was a worldwide sensation. I just don't like podcast. Anyway, Ethan isn't exactly the best at taking criticism, so him telling others to take criticism probably isn't a good look. Ethan doesn't seem too bothered by the drama, basking in the glory of his name trending on social media platform and tweeting the hashtag before to keep it going. K-pop fans are among the most committed in the world and will defend their idols to their last breath. It's not a great idea to get on the wrong side of them, as H3H3 learned the hard way, and they may not rush to do it again. Oh, of course he's gonna. Why wouldn't you? He's not losing any subscribers over this, I can't imagine. It's certainly not doing any more damage to Ethan than he's doing by, not uploading to his main channel for 6 months and just doing the podcast where they just sit around and commentate on. Well, anyway, but it's so funny. But what's interesting to me is this concept that he's got some problem with Asian folks because he doesn't like K-pop. It's ridiculous. One of the tweets, where is it? Why don't you just call them a bad word and get over with it? Get it over with, Ethan. Here's why you can't imagine little girls and grown men enjoying little K-pop boys. Because you view Asian men as inferior to the white specimens such as yourself. Like, literally what? And, and this tweet got 18,000 retweets, 64,000 likes. It's absurd. And if you look at, I type in Ethan Klein racist, you look at all these people just saying, just because he doesn't like K-pop, that he's got some problem with Asian folks is ridiculous. Ethan Klein is this. He has said the same thing in the past, that Indian actors look like janitors, and how he's after Koreans. Now he's after Koreans enjoying K-pop, comparing it to a fetish. Well, I don't think at any point he said that only Koreans like this music. In fact, he said, how did this become a thing in the West? Saying, who are all these American fans of K-pop? So, no, his comment was not about Koreans in any way. It's just sad that H3H3 had to resort to xenophobic and all sorts of other word language when all he had to say is he doesn't like Korean music. I mean, it's also just a subset of Korean music, by the way. K-pop is not the only music getting made in Korea, I imagine. He called out a toxic part of K-pop stans who fetishize Asian men and Asian culture. If you're offended by what he said, you're probably one of the bad peoples, And then you look at, to be totally honest with you, Ethan does bring up another good point where, essentially this fandom has been so maniacal and so feverish that they have definitely caused a lot of problems for people. He points out that face when K-pop stans are trying to take the moral high ground over a joke, but are responsible for dozens of self-deletions of K-pop idols because of their online abuse. I don't know about that. I mean, I don't think I would ever go as far. I don't know if I would go as far as to say they're responsible for it. I still think ultimately, look, you've just got to stay offline if that's the case. But I mean, we've seen several situations like this within the video game industry where this kind of online outrage turns into, okay, now you've lost your job. You never, now you've lost this, now you lost that. And you see, shut up, bro. You said people jerk it to kids. Y'all need Jesus. I mean, I think he didn't mean literally. I think he just means, they're so into it that it's weird. But, I don't understand what good it does to paint somebody as having like to say Ethan has a problem with Koreans when he clearly doesn't. He just doesn't like K-pop and he was mean about it. Look, enjoy your K-pop, enjoy your dance troops or whatever it is that they do. You'd be an idiot to ignore the fact that they're easily some of the most popular videos on YouTube and that clearly many people enjoy it. So, hey, I'll let them enjoy their thing. You enjoy your K-pop. I'll enjoy my version of K-pop, which apparently is, I don't know, Star Wars or video games, my fandom. But yikes, Ethan. Although I do appreciate that he keeps piling it on. I would continue to pile on because it's great. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.